The movie, even though it is supposed to be a continuation of the first two Tron films, it feels like a spin-off. In some places, it even feels like a reboot. This last week on this channel, we've been covering Disney's Tron franchise, but this weekend we finally get the ending of the Tron trilogy with Tron Ares. The first thing to note is that Tron Ares is significantly more plot-driven than character-driven. In Tron Legacy, the main dynamic that drove the narrative forward was between Sam and Kevin Flynn. That was the main driving force of the film. But in this movie, it is very much about its premise, and that is the main plan of Clue, or at least a fraction of Clue's plan from Tron Legacy, has been realized. The digital world is colliding with the human world. And the movie does a great job at showing of just a fraction, because we never see a full-scale collision between the two worlds inside this film anyway. But we see a fraction of how devastating that would be, and whether it's the light cycle chase at the beginning of the film between Ares, Athena, and Eve, or the final fight with Athena and the Recognizer at the end of the film, the movie shows you that this is not something that we want to happen at all. And with that, we do get a significant amount of callbacks to the original film. I think this movie is more in response to the original film than it is to Legacy in a lot of ways. And I think we see that the most in the way that it characterizes Eric Dillinger, played by Evan Peters, inside of the film, of how they have that dynamic that we saw with his grandfather, the original Dillinger in the original film, and Master Control, and how they're constantly butting heads and bashing back and forth each other to seeing who's in control, who's not. And in this movie, they do very much play with that, although the ending is a much more dramatic way, where Dillinger realizes that he can't control the digital world like he thought that he could. And from the digital world, of course, we get our main AI characters, Ares, played by Jared Leto, and Athena, played by Jodie-Turner Smith. Both are very, very good characters. Jared Leto, returning to the science fiction franchise after Blade Runner 2049. He does a great job as Ares. He was much more entertaining and fun to watch on screen than I thought that he would be. I think he did a good job with sort of playing with the comedic side of him, of being from the 80s and whatnot. Jodie-Turner Smith as Athena, they really did a good job with her of showing not necessarily that she's a bad robot, but she is the most robotic, the most machine-like out of all the characters in this film, and how she is following Dillinger's narrative. Even when Dillinger thinks that she's going too far, she is going to follow her directive. But even though we do have all these characters, seeing the return of Jeff Bridges as Kevin Flynn, I think they did a good job with having the little scene where he helps Ares get back to the real world. I thought they did that quite well, and how we get to see that callback to the original film's animation and whatnot. I really wish that we could have seen Garrett Hedlund return as Sam Flynn. And this is where I'm going to bring up the fact that I don't know everything about this, but I do know that this movie was delayed several times. It started production about a decade ago, and then it was shelved or something, and Jared Leto was involved from the very beginning, or at least for the most part, and Ares was originally going to be the villain of this movie. And it's interesting to see how Sam Flynn would have been written into the film, because he's referenced several times, but we never get to see him, and that would have been the main thing that would have tied the trilogy together. Because the movie, even though it is supposed to be a continuation of the first two Tron films, it feels like a spin-off. In some places, it even feels like a reboot. And I think that is what holds the movie back from being really an amazing sci-fi film. After 15 years, we finally get to see the digital world of Tron come crashing into our own. Along this wild ride, we have some great characters, whether it's Jared Leto's Ares, Evan Peters' Eric Dillinger, or the brief return of Jeff Bridges as Kevin Flynn. The movie handles its premise for the most part very, very well, but it starts to lose a little bit of what type of movie it wants to be, whether it wants to be a true ending of the Tron trilogy or a standalone movie that happens to be set in the same world. With that being said, Tron Ares gets a 7 out of 10. Hello everyone, welcome back to Movies with Michael. I hope you enjoyed this movie review, and you can show it by leaving a like on this video and comment down below what you thought about this movie. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Or was it right there in between? You can tell me all that down below in the comment section. And please remember to subscribe to this channel and click the notification icon to be notified about my latest videos. That's all for now, and I'll see you all next time.